guys, I just down here on the river, I'm going to do a quick video on just some really basic panning, what you need just to get into it, and then a little bit more into that. We'll go a little bit more advanced just for processing a little bit more when you're panning. And this is just about panning, very basic and not a lot of detail. Really, all you need is a pan. That's all you need. Moving up from there, you might want a classifier. Helps a lot when you're on the beach, especially in these gravels. You're going to be picking up a lot of rocks. You're going to be, you know, it's a lot of work if you don't have that. So classifier and a pan, and then also a snuffer bottle. Those are really all you need to get going. You can, you know, classify your material, just dig into the beach. Obviously you're going to need a shovel. I've got a couple here. I've got the smaller one. It's like a $6 shovel. It folds up really small and it fits in my pocket. Super simple. And if you want, you can come down here with a little duffel bag with those 3 things in it. You don't even need a bag. You can carry those in your hands. So you don't need much to get started. Moving up from that, I go with a large shovel just because I don't like to bend over. And the 2 pails on the side here, they're number one, the big pail, I classify into that, and I'll show you that. It's just, it speeds up the process, so you're not going pan by pan, and you'll see that later in the video. The small bucket, the only reason I carry that is just for a seat. Literally all I use that for is to sit on while I'm in the river. In case I can't find a big rock while I'm here, I can flip that thing upside down and just sit right on it while I'm in the river and doing my panning. A couple extra bonuses that you might want to carry with you for sure is a pair of gloves. A good pair of gloves that are preferably non-cuttable, because there's a lot of jerks that throw bottles into the river and break them on the shore, and you're going to cut your hands up. So I would recommend some good, I've got neoprene diving gloves, and you don't have to have, you know, fancy gloves, just a cheap pair of gloves, just so that you're not going to cut your hands up. The gardening gloves work just fine, and it's literally just for when you're putting your hand into the product, just in case there's glass in there, and there will be, and in a lot of cases even sharp rocks, things like that. It also saves your hands from getting raw. Doing this for a couple hours, your hands are going to get raw, they're going to be sore, so a pair of gloves is good. Obviously, you know, you're outside, maybe some sunscreen, liquids, keep yourself hydrated, and that's really all you need. With this setup right here, with just my classifier, my pan, my large shovel, and my large bucket, I can process a large bucket about every 45 minutes. So is it as fast as high banking? Absolutely not. Is it faster than going pan by pan? For sure. So I'm just going to set the cameras up. I'm going to show you what I'm doing, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so all set up here. It took me a matter of 30 seconds. I've got my pail here. It's just filled with water. There's nothing in it other than water right now. My classifier is on top. What I'm going to do is just dig in. Anywhere on this river you can pan, so just dig anywhere. It's easier digging in the bank where it's dry, but I find that the count is a little bit higher down near the water line. What I'm doing is just digging into the shoreline, drop it into the classifier. I fill it up pretty good. It's usually about 3 shovels to make a full pan. I take my pan, fill it up with water. You can see that the water does stay in there. Give it a shake. As I said, this is where the gloves come in handy, because some people like to dig right in there and stir this around. I don't usually do that. What I do is I just stick my thumbs on a couple big rocks, and then when you do it, see how it agitates a lot better? So you just hold down the sides. Almost works like paddles in a mixer. Get rid of that. So now all the sand and everything has gone through that. That's an 1/8 of an inch, by the way, that classifier. And I'm about half done here, so my bucket is about half full. I'll just dump out my water. So there we go. My concentrate, so you can see them down there. The bucket's not quite half full, but good enough for me. I'm not going to carry this thing once it's full, so I'll set up, and once I get all set up for panning this down, we'll cut back in. All right, so I got my spot set up here. I got the little bucket. I just put a rock on there. Make sure you fill that thing up with a little bit of water before you flip it over. It's not going to stay down. Put a rock on it to hold it there. I sit on that, and my concentrated material is there. My pan is on top. I have my small shovel in the bucket. So once I get here, just take my rock off, sit down on my seat. This is now my panning position. Over here I have my pan, bucket with concentrates. I like to leave a little bit of water in here just because it makes the sand a lot easier to dig in. I should also mention that I only use an 1/8 of an inch classifier for the simple fact that I like to leave some of the little rocks in there because it helps agitate the material. If you take them out and you classify down any further than an 1/8 of an inch, I find that it really concentrates and packs, so you can't get a fluid motion inside of the pan. It packs down so hard like concrete would that you can't get it to move. See how this it actually moves if you concentrate it down. Just dump my water out, and you don't have any water in there, it will turn to concrete. This thing will be so hard to get moving. Like right now, even I can feel it starting, it's hardening as I'm doing this. So we'll get some more water on there. And I'm sure you've all seen panning before. What I do is I just take this, I pan it down. I'll probably speed this part up so you don't have to sit here and watch me pan. Give you a couple tricks that I do. So when I'm panning, obviously get all the product to the front of my pan. I agitate it, I get everything moving, and then just before I dump it, I pause, let everything fall, and then I take off that top layer. Everybody's got a little bit different of a way you can, Google panning techniques and see how everybody else does it. Not going to go into detail here. This is just, a very basic panning video and how I do it. I also try not to dump water out while you're doing this at the same time, because the gold here is so fine, it will flow with the water and just go right out of your pan. So I take this down, I just repeat, I sit here with my coffee, and sometimes I bring my camping chair out and it's got the coffee holder on it. I'll just sit right out in the water. And you just take this down. Get all that gold to sit on the bottom. Take off the top layer. When I'm panning, I am really rough with it. Some guys that go really slow, and honestly that drives me crazy because the gold is so heavy, it drops to the bottom no matter what. You are going to drop it to the bottom. It's not all going to drop straight to the bottom all at once, so you have to work it down there, which is why we do it in steps. So you take off that top layer, and then you work it down more. You just keep doing that. You keep working the gold down. It doesn't drop right to the bottom instantly. You have to work it down, which is why we take off a layer and then we, do it again, repeat the process. And what you're doing is you're getting that gold to slowly drop down to the bottom of your pan, so that by the end of your pan, all that gold has had the time in the water and the agitation has dropped it down, so it is down on the bottom of the pan. If you were to take this and just rinse it, fill your pan up, agitate it, and then bring it right down to nothing in one pan and just keep rinsing and rinsing and rinsing, you're going to throw away all your gold. So just keep doing this really slowly. So when I'm doing this, when I'm doing a bucket like this, I'll take it down right to about here. As soon as I start to see black sand forming on the sides, I stop. I bring it all down to the bottom, and then I go back to my bucket and I fill it up again. Alright, so I got my bucket empty here. I'm gonna call that was about a third of a bucket. This is what I've got left. It's maybe a quarter cup of concentrates, and I'm just going to finish it off here. And the way I do it is I just back pan all the blonde out of it and as much black sand as I can, and then I take the rest home in my snuffer bottle. So as soon as I see gold, I stop, I rinse out the back of my pan because I know there's no gold in there. And it's like saving my progress. Some people back pan, and they'll back pan everything except for the gold. They'll get a big pile in the back of their pan and just continually do that until everything is clean and everything is done. I don't do that, just because if something does happen to happen and my gold washes down into everything I back panned, got some gold traveling here, then you have to start all over again. So I just get rid of it a little bit at a time. I don't know if it takes a little longer, or I've never timed it. I just, personal preference, I like to save my progress. And just quick little flicks. So I'm getting down to pulling just black sand. All my blonde is gone, so I will do a quick vibration on my next back pan. I've got gold traveling again, so I'll wash it out, wash this away. I'll get everything down to that corner, and then do a quick vibration. Well, not quite where I like it. Okay, now when I do my vibration, it'll bring all of the rocks up to the top. I'll be able to wash those away. Just a quick flick, it'll pull those rocks out of there. And again, I just watch for gold to travel. As soon as the gold starts traveling, I stop and start the process over again. You can see the gold coming out on the sides, on the corners. Okay, get rid of this. I know there's no gold in there. Rinse and repeat. You can see the gold travel, so I'm always really rough when I'm panning. I high bank a lot, so when I do pan, I'm used to processing really fast. So yes, I am rough with it. I do lose some. I know this. Not a big deal to me. I really don't care for the 1 or 2 specks that I'm losing. See how that vibration makes those rocks travel to the top really fast? And you can just pick them out one by one with the water. It definitely is a technique that you have to get used to, but you can do it. You can actually, once you get good at it, you can pick a rock and pull that single rock out without moving anything else. Now I've actually got gold traveled all the way down here. So I might want to redo this, put it all back down to the front of my pan, but I don't care. This is just really, I'm not doing this for myself today. I'm doing it just to give you guys a quick tutorial. So if I lose a little bit of gold, it's not a big deal, but I didn't. I saw it, so I just pushed it back up with my finger. Oh, look at that bonus rock fell out there. All right, bring this right down. And we're almost done. This is almost to the point where I would take this and use my snuffer. But I've got about 6 more little rocks that I'm going to pull out of there first. So those 3 are being stubborn. I'll just give them a flick, get them moving. As long as I don't have gold traveling down with them, which I do, darn it. So here, this is what I mean by bring it back down and start over again. If I had not dumped all that tailings out, I would have had to put it all back down there and start over. But fortunately, I did. There we go. Those rocks traveled to the top. So there's actually quite a bit of gold in here. I'm seeing it move across the pan as I do this, which is not a good thing. So I would generally just stop and snuffer this all up, take it home, clean it at home. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to, oh, another hitchhiker. Got a fly in my pan. Let's see if we can. It's actually not a fly. I don't know what those things are. They're little, almost like beetles. What are you doing, buddy? Get out of there. There you go. Okay, so this is good enough. I'm going to snuffer this all up, but I'll give you guys a quick reveal. Take some pictures and show them at the end. So I'm going to say there's a couple thousand specks in there. I don't think this camera picks it up. I'll grab my good camera and maybe take a quick video or just some pictures of this. But there's probably a couple thousand specks in here. Down here on the river, it's depending on the size of the gold. I mean, when you're talking about flour gold, there's only one size, and that's small. But there are actually different sizes down here. When you tend to dig near the water, they get a little smaller. If you dig out of the bank, they do get a little bit bigger. Trying to get that one rock, just doesn't want to go. I'm just going to pull it out. Good enough. And I've got gold traveling down, so I'll rinse this out and snuffer that all up. Before I do, I'll take some pictures. But basically, Oh, see that? Floating gold. Wonderful. I'm gonna have to take some pictures of that as well, because that's a phenomenon that happens here, and we're all used to it. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but that gold is all floating on the water. I've got probably 0.03 of a gram floating right on top of that water. So I'll take some pictures and catch up with you in a bit.